Okay, so truthfully, I was going to have some Cradle of Filth lyrics to recite at the beginning of this. I'm horrible and completely forgot how life works. I got nothing. I'm under pressure. I can't come up with any lyrics. Whatever! The time has come for part 3. Math. 3 of 5. 5 now, unfortunately. We're down to Paladin, which means everyone can quickly adjust their alignments a little farther south of our Carrion Crown adventure path. And today we are joined by my coffee, and also the first person I ever did a one-on-one with in my entire life. That one-on-one spawned a couple of my most favorite characters. It set a precedent in an old homebrew game that the entire nation of Ustalav was Irish, so that was a thing we did. Oh Lord! Oh Lord! Oh, poor girl. And it's kind of like, it's gone full circle again, because like this is one of the people who used to be involved in the channel, used to be involved with the IOPC many, many moons ago, and now has come back to us serendipitously. Funny choice of words. Today we have my old friend Emmy. Remind everybody at home, who are you? How are you? What are you doing?
Oh boy. Well, I am playing a little catfolk lady who is a serendipity shaman. She has a familiar named Lulu. She is from Muraseth in southern Garund, and she made her way up to Ravengrow.
You've been living in Ravengrow for quite a while, since your days in Muraseth being brought back. Everyone is still pretty wigged out about you. Ustalav is very much a land, especially in like Ravengrow, which is not a very big town at all. It's a very insular nation, and a very insular town in a very insular nation. Outsiders are not trusted. You've seen like a small handful of elves, and that's about it. And the whole, like, the notion of the black cat and how it brings bad luck has stuck to you pretty hard, given the color of your fur. It has come to the point where everybody has mastered the art of walking backwards so as not to, you know, have you cross their paths the wrong way. Your life with the professor is pretty good, all things considered. You're like, when he's here and he's not in Lepidstadt at the university, you guys, like, you're good friends when he's not here. You and his daughter Kendra are basically the only occupants of the house. It comes a point, probably about a year and a half-ish. I know the dates are probably bouncing around all over the place now. Into your stay there, that the town is approached by a caravan. It's very brightly colored. It's like there's probably like 20 people in the entire caravan. They stop in town, and it kind of draws the attention of everybody, and that is where we will turn it to you.
All right, so I'm assuming I am in the house, or am I out by the caravan, or what?
Out by the caravan, we'll say.
All right. I suppose for now I will watch and see what the caravan brings. Just sort of keep an eye on it.
Okay. So
Curious.
Ustalav by itself is like it's its own independent nation, but most of the population of Ustalav, at least the human ones, are Varisian in ethnicity. A long, long time ago, they exodused east of Varisia and ended up here, but a lot of people have like left their traditional cultural roots behind to like start up fresh again. This caravan clearly has not. The men and women are all dressed in like vibrantly bright colors. Some of them are selling like random wares. By and large, most of them are performers. It's kind of a mess. All like 20 of them with seemingly random instruments, but the people eat it up. They're led by a man who's probably like head and shoulders taller than all the other humanoids around him. He appears human, save for the fact that his hair is like the color blue. Not like blue-ish, not like, oh, maybe you're a gnome. No, like, well, the gnomes also have blue hair, I guess, but like human with just like brilliant azure hair, bright golden eyes. His hair also seems to, no matter how much he like twirls and things, it always seems to land just perfect. The man is basically framed in daylight everywhere he walks.
Huh. Very interesting. I will approach and watch the performance from, I don't know if there's really seats or anything, but from the back of the audience.
There's not really seats. I guess some people might have like dragged a chair out, but that would be like go in your house, grab your kitchen chair, run out, set the thing down, that sort of thing. Because Ravengrow's a really small, boopy kind of town. The man has a pair of tambourines that seem to be like strapped to his arms almost for the amount of like acrobatics he does, and they never go anywhere, except for when he like twists, like holding the inside of it where there's a bar that shouldn't quite be there. He twists it, and 4 identically sized blades pop out at right angles from one another in these tambourines before he throws them, and they musically like ring out into the crowd as they get thrown over people's heads only to be teleported back. Lulu is eating it up as she watches this. She's not the biggest owl, especially in this part of the world. She's from an entirely different like region of Galarian, so she's not as big and poofy so much as she's just kind of like small and tawny brown. She flaps about happily as this is all happening. Several of the Verizians also have their own familiars who like participate in the act and things. What little money exists in Ravengrow is usually kept to like buy provisions and things, but nevertheless silver is thrown at the feet of these performers. There's a big finale. Everyone cheers and then begins to disperse as the caravan starts to pack back up.
I suppose as everyone's packing back up, I will move in to get a closer look, and mayhaps introduce myself.
Okay, fair enough. You move in closer, and the man with the blue hair has a rabbit following him around. The rabbit stands upright and has hands as if it were like an anthropomorphic thing and not just an actual like pet jumping around. It's not uncommon for people to get this done to their familiars, especially when like the thing has like, not to coin a phrase, but the world's smallest violin, probably actually, in his little now people bunny hands. He's packing it up. The blue-haired man sees you and he turns and says, "Well, it is not often we see the Amurin." He bows very, very formally as he does so. His hair remains, though he does it like really fast, and as everyone who's watching on Twitch and YouTube has seen, my hair is now everywhere. Like just a quick, fast bow, yet everything stays completely in place on him. "What a nice familiar you have. I don't think I've ever seen that kind of owl. Come here, little one." And up goes his hand, where there's a convenient bracer for Lulu to fly down and land on. And he begins scritching her on the chest, and she's, "Roo, roo," and she starts like rolling over, so almost cat-like, so she can be scratched on the back and things. "What is your name, Amurin?"
"Oh, the people here call me Lady Luck. And you?"
My name is Nixander. A dance instructor by trade, but, well, these days find me." He looks down at his feet as if like he expects his feet to like walk off, shoes and everything included. "They find me a bit of wanderlust. Normally I teach the dance Today, I follow this caravan, and I perform the dance. And he picks up a really enormous, like comically so almost, hat, which is full to the brim with silver. Today it makes me very much money. I do not think Lady Luck is your real name, though.
No, but most people here don't care to know it. I do appreciate you asking, though.
He smiles, and his teeth are perfectly straight, and like they're so white they're almost like silver. The light hits them, and like you can almost hear the choir of angels behind him. Just oh.
My name is Esiri Jilyana.
Ah, I see. Esiri. He kind of like hangs on the second syllable, and I certainly can't do it, nor do I have the time to auto-tune this recording, but you notice when he talks, his voice is so melodious, it is almost in key. It's almost unnerving, if not for the fact that it, like everything about him seems to sit perfectly on what has... I would say Esiri probably recognizes an Azimar when she sees one, but this one is clearly very different than the standard, like, angelic thing. Esiri! That name is, he, like, makes a... as if he's tasting some fine cuisine, that is your name. That name is Garundi, yes? The Imuran do not live this far north anyway. What brings you here?
Well, I do suppose my business is my own, but I live with the professor.
Ah, I see. Which one? We are not from here. Does this town have a school? This town does not look like they do more than... And he points at you to message. This town does not look like they do more than farming.
No, there is Professor Lorimer here. He's quite the interesting fellow. I actually met him in southern Garund.
I see. And what was he doing there? It is very warm up there. Down there, I suppose, rather. People out here, they will melt. Quite simple.
Well, as far as I know, he was a cartographer. He was mapping the place. Interested in discovering new locations, finding information, that sort of thing.
And he is not here now. One wonders. Why are you here now? This friend of yours is gone.
I've had a few run-ins when I go wandering about on my own.
Indeed. Ustalav is not a safe land not a safe land to journey in. He nods in the direction of his caravan, and you can see that the entire, the whole outside of the thing is just lined with clove after clove after clove after clove of garlic. His tambourine / star knives, because he in fact carries two, as he flicks his wrist and the blades pop back out again. They're clearly not sure if coated, not sure if made of silver. It's hard to say, because in the flick of a wrist again, back they go. You are magical, yes? This is why you have familiar flying around. And he raises his hand around him. Lulu comes, lands again. Isn't that right? Aren't you the familiar? You are the familiar. Goes scratching on her and just rolling around happy.
I suppose you could say that. She is more of a spirit animal than a familiar, but close enough.
Ah, I see. You are one of those, what is it? How is it they are called? You are tied to nature, yes? Not necessarily the arcane arts, not like any foofs his hair again, not like I. But you speak to the world around you, and it listens.
In some very odd ways, yes.
And how do you mean?
Well, I tend to be rather lucky, hence the name.
Ah, I see. And what about those who follow you around? The town, and you notice a couple people are giving you guys weird looks. They seem to, not like you very much.
It's hard to get past some of the superstitions surrounding black cats with them, but it is what it is.
No, of course. There are similar suspicions about blue-haired humans, and he, whoop, again. And he continues to be the most majestic thing you've ever seen. Well, you are magical.
Well, you don't seem entirely human yourself.
I am not. Desna has blessed my family. At some point, there was an Azata. You understand, the chaotic good outsider, they come down and they come from the Sinosherk, they come from Desna's realm and mixed into my family. I am, and he smiles beautifully, one of many. I tell you what, you are magical. People around you do not seem to like you, but you intend to get lucky. The powers of nature keep you lucky. Nixander and his waves his hand majestically behind him. His merry band could use someone like you. We travel around Ustalav. We will be back in Ravengrow in, perhaps 2 or 3 weeks at the most. It depends on how much they pay us in Califas, but that is an entirely different story. We could use someone to help protect the caravan. We would be willing to pay.
Do you suppose, it wouldn't hurt to have some extra coin? I really shouldn't, but to be honest, it sounds kind of like fun.
Ah, yes indeed! He claps you on the back. It looks like it's gonna come down real hard, but when he touches you, it's just like... it's as soft as the gentle breeze on the wind. Good! We shall leave immediately! Come, everyone! Come, we pack up, we go!
Whoa.
Yes?
I gotta say goodbye.
Then go, yes! Go, cat! Go and say goodbye! He and his little rabbit, who is taken to, like, hop, skip, jumping, like Mario, basically. That hop, whoop, wah to get that third flip, and as he does so, he withdraws his world's smallest violin and, like, arpeggios up and down as he flips. Everybody is roused to move quickly as they begin packing everything up. And who is it that Esiri would say goodbye to?
So, to my understanding, the professor's daughter.
Ah, yes.
Right?
Yep. Kendra Lorimore. It's not her house, but she lives there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, you can definitely seek her out. She's pretty withdrawn. She's a pretty big introvert, and the professor doesn't have the best standing in Ravengrow, partially because he's tracked a catfolk into Ravengrow, partially because he's one of them learned folk from the city. You know what I'm talking about? Everybody kind of just assumes he has ties with the bad things because he's not here very often. But she's back at the manor. Well, manor, excuse me. She's back at the house, I should say.
Well, I'll go to the house and say goodbye. How old is she, by the way? Is she like little girl, teen, whatever?
I will give you an exact answer as soon as I open Book 1 of the Carrion Crown Adventure Path. I want to say, I guess quick answer, she's in her, early 20s.
Okay. So she can take care of herself. It's not like I'm leaving behind an infant or something.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Okay, good. That was the most important thing.
Okay, yeah, she's definitely there, just kind of sitting quietly. Reading a book, you open the door, she looks up, doesn't say anything, but that's not, it isn't uncommon for her. There you are. How old are you? Give me an age. She is 25. That's what I thought, but I didn't want to necessarily, blurt something out.
And her first name...
Kendra.
I know her last name's obviously Lorimer, huh?
First name, Kendra.
Kendra. Hey, Kendra, I'm going to be going out for a couple weeks. There's a caravan passing through. They need a guard for some coin, so hopefully I can bring something back.
She looks up from as you get a little like closer and start paying a little more attention to her. What is clearly her spell book. She looks up and just, all right, I'll see you when you get back. Kind of like Princess Leia half smiles. Lulu goes flying over to her, lands on her like shoulder because Lulu's not a very big owl, and boops her. She looks at first perturbed and then leans into it as Lulu continues, just very like bird catty into the side of her before buzzing back to you.
Cute.
Yeah, that's familiars for you.
All right.
Okay, so
Take
you
care
guys.
of the place. Bye.
She nods. You guys take off. It's basically every couple of days or so that you guys are out. You stop at a like somewhere, some village, some farmstead, something like that to perform again. Nothing really like happens on the road. Occasionally some bandits give you a weird side eye, but between you and everybody else in the caravan who's like very obviously capable of defending themselves, there's at one point a pack of wolves gets a little too close to the caravan, and then you realize that little rabbit's world's smallest violin has a little button under it that turns it into the world's smallest heavy crossbow. And the thing is not the worst shot in the material plane for sure. Your journey takes you inexorably farther and farther away from Ravengrow. I want to say you head south. Let me grab a quick map of Ustaloth because it's, well, the direction is not super important. Eventually, you guys make your way towards a... If you saw them anywhere else on Galarian, you would call them ominous, but everything in Ustaloth is a land cloaked in perpetual, like, partly cloudy chance of thunderstorms, so everything is kind of sad looking. But before too long, you guys, like, along the journey, come along a stand of towering pine trees that, if you were to move under them, they would block out the sun. Within it, there's broken branches, the occasional shrub. But other than that, like, and like mushrooms and moss and things, not a lot of things grow. It, like, because no light gets down there. That's when the Azamar, who seems to lead the squad, turns your direction and like the direction of everybody. Well, now is the time, my friends. The Shudderwood is not the safest place, but our path takes us through here. Hopefully we have luck on our side. Turns in the direction of Catfolk. People nod. Assuming our friend is not afraid of werewolves. Yes?
At the mention of werewolves, the fur sort of spikes up. Just a little bit.
Ah, and why is this?
I don't like them. They don't like me. Works out.
I think it does not work out. I think oftentimes this means that you are, oh, I don't know, killed and eaten or turned into one. Sounds like there's more there. He just kind of looks expectantly.
I think if I was a werewolf, you would know it by now, wouldn't you?
No. It has not been the full moon yet. Did something happen? Did at some point have you run into these creatures?
couple times. The professor ended up saving me on both counts.
Ah, I see. Was this particularly long ago? You don't happen to have any werewolf nemesis that might have come back to the Shudderwood, do you?
Not that I'm aware of.
Ah, fair enough. In that case, I'm sure we will be just fine. Alexander knows everything, after all, and turns and everybody starts, like, picking up, moving into this place. As you cross the, like, I say outcropping of trees, but the Shudderwood itself is, like, 50 miles long worth of forest. There are lots and lots of little villages inside it, as well as, like, hunting lodges.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty uneventful until you get towards about the middle of it. A place called the Askinor Lodge. That's like the next, like on the path of performance where you guys will be headed. It's a very, very posh affair. A lot of the nobles in like Lozeri and Ardeel County will come here to brag about how cool they are and how many werewolves they've killed and what they'll hunt and cha-cha-cha. But basically it's just rich people being rich people, right? And that's exactly why this caravan has come here, to fleece them. You guys set up, and you don't necessarily go into the lodge proper. It's held outside it, and all of the rich, fancy folk, they show up, and they ooh, and they ah, and they throw platinum pieces out like they mean nothing, because truthfully to them, they mean literal nothing. Just whoop, platinum, going around landing in people's hats. You guys, including yourself, are definitely going to make out like bandits.
I'm going to have a piece of silver ready from before, if that's okay with you. I'm assuming because I've had encounters with werewolves before and live with the professor, I would know werewolves don't like silver.
Yeah, that's pretty common knowledge out here. Like, the things that go bump in the night that are common, you would know the weaknesses of.
Mm-hmm.
So the show goes off pretty much without a hitch. You guys pack up and head out again because the people at Askinor Lodge don't really want vagabonds staying there. You have a shift at watch. It goes by pretty uneventfully, but then after you pass out, it feels like not a whole lot of time has passed. You come to and you realize that you and several others of the caravan have been bound. You wake up and the back of your hands are tied behind a tree, so too are your legs. Lulu is tied up by the feet, with a branch over top of her, screaming and freaking out and flying in a circular pattern, because that's really all she's got. The caravan has been sacked. The smell of dead is all around you.
I am going to listen, see if I hear anything that might give us a hint as to what took us.
Okay, yeah, they're all around. They're pretty big for humanoids, and they're pretty blood covered in places you wouldn't expect humanoids to be as well. Several of them are very scarred. Most of them are wearing fur pelts, and then you turn the corner and some dude's hands are just up to the wrist, covered in blood. There's blood dripping from his mouth.
Oh boy.
It's pretty obvious that these guys are either just completely feral or they're some kind of lycanthrope. Actually, yeah, on that note, you don't see that Verizian man, but you do see one of his star knives that lies broken on the ground. One of the individuals doesn't see it and steps on it, blade pointing up. He immediately, it's not a full oh, but he definitely doesn't just ow, so much just as you see him withdraw his boot, pull the bit of broken star knife out of his foot, and he happens to be close enough that you can see that it's as if he had just contacted poison ivy. There's a very rapid allergic reaction happening. He's obviously in a lot of pain.
All right. There is probably an involuntary hissing happening at this point.
Okay. So that happens. I'm really glad that my cats don't listen to this. They would both get real upset. Okay, so that happens. You do the hiss, and a couple of people turn your direction. One of them, a particularly large specimen, begins walking your direction. As he does so, it's the middle of the night, but there's no, like, the moon. It was a full moon, like, 2 days before you left Ravengrow. You're not in any danger of anybody going super crazy. But as he moves forward, he shifts into his hybrid form of just a, like, night black fur, much like your own, clearly a werewolf. I'm sorry. Did you say something, cat? He, like, leans forward, sniffs in your direction.
Silence.
That's what I thought. Giselda will be pleased when we sacrifice you. At this point, Lulu kind of, like, buzzes around and slaps him. Not on purpose necessarily, but she's freaking out. And her leash basically only gives her so much room, so she can't fly out. But she flies in and, like, contacts with the back of this dude's head. He turns. As he does so, he draws, hanging from his back, a very shiny bastard sword and points it at Lulu. What's your alignment again?
Chaotic good?
CG, that's what I thought. Okay, so he says something.
Wait, it's chaotic neutral or no, neutral good.
Neutral good.
There we are.
Still good, which is both good as in relevant and good as in what it needs to be. He points, says something in a language you don't recognize. Well, yeah, might. Let's not assume. Do you speak Abyssal by chance?
Nope.
All right, so he says something in a language you might maybe recognize as Abyssal. As that happens, he turns and looks at you, says the same thing, and you can feel... It's almost like the sensation of being lost in the jungles of Garund, and you know that there's some kind of dinosaur or large predator behind you. The feeling that you are being hunted. As he leans in and, like, the blood and spit mixed together drips off his fangs. Maybe I don't sacrifice you. Maybe you join the pack. We've never had a cat join, but I imagine it still works. Lulu continues freaking out and gets a little too close, again, to almost, like, whap into him. His other arm has a pretty sizable shield strapped on it, and he just kind of, like, swings his shield. Lulu bounces off it and goes careening up.
Do I have any sort of claws? I don't remember.
Does the catfolk have claws? That would depend on... I think that is an alternate racial trait for the catfolk, I believe. You might have a bite attack.
I was more thinking about trying to sneakily cut the ropes.
Yes, that makes sense. Okay, so let me... you have claws if you traded out the natural hunter. Alternate racial trait. Otherwise, you have no natural attacks. Though you probably, you have claws, I should say. They're not necessarily big enough to weaponize, but your fingernails are sharp. Just not, like, dagger sharp.
All right. I will try to break my bindings behind my back in some way. Sneakily.
Right. Okay. So we're not necessarily looking at character sheets right now, but would you call your character a particularly stealthy character? Are you good at it?
Eh, I got some decks, but that's about it.
Okay, fair enough. So you go to do a squirming, trying to like undo the binds, and a couple more of these black werewolves come around and they look in the direction of what you now can assume is the most important one, because as they do this, they both turn back into their humanoid form, so as not to like challenge him. You think, Morris, she's going to escape. I don't know what you're planning on doing with her, but you should do it before. Silence! I am the leader of this pack, and I will do what I please. And as you're like going to squirm, he takes one of his bigger than your face hands and pins it into your shoulder as you feel him bite down.
I'm going to give him some. Can I give him some bad luck for that?
How would you do that?
The black cat feet.
Black cat feet. Oh, that's actually literally is a feat.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. That's flavorful. Once per day's immediate action. When you are hit by a melee attack, you can reroll the -4. Okay, fair enough. And it literally turns your fur black when you take it. Nice. Okay. You do so. You can do that when your hands are bound. So, like, you feel him bite in and you just kind of glare at him. And it slides down. He's definitely like, he is still, well, we'll say like he bites in and then can't quite get a hold. So rather than like establishing a real like painful like dig into you, he kind of just rakes his fangs along your like shoulder to eventually collide with the tree. The other two werewolves find this absolutely hilarious. And growling and snarling and carrying on, the monstrous thing that he is turns, and rather than focus on you, now you of all people would realize that now like a challenge to his authority has happened. He has to prove himself the alpha of the pack. The three descend upon each other about 5 feet in front of you.
Perfect time to finish escaping.
Yeah, works for me. Okay, so it takes a little while. You're not the best at it, but you can. And fortunately, again, these three are mostly well matched. It's pretty clear that you think his name was Adamaris. It's the blood pumping in your ears makes things hard to remember, but he's obviously a little better put together than his compatriots. You're able to break your binds while they're still fighting. Lulu continues freaking out, flying in a kind of awkward pattern. It's clear that shield bash broke one of her wings.
How far away was that bit of silver?
You could get to it. It's probably like 20 feet, but like everyone has focused their attention on this fight now because this pack of werewolves may well and truly have a new leader in the next 2 minutes.
Is there anything sharp enough that I can get to cut Lulu free?
Yeah.
I could probably just untie her.
You could untie her. You could break the branch. You could... yeah, you could probably just untie her. You do so. She flops down. Her wing is broken. She's not really flying anywhere with any degree of, like, success anytime soon.
All right. I will help her up onto my shoulder, and then I will go for that bit of broken tambourine star knife thingy.
Okay. You're able to grab it.
And then I'm going to run.
Okay. So you break off into the night. As you do so, you do eventually find Nixander's body, as well as, like, several other individuals who have been a part of this caravan and also been just savagely mauled to death. Some of them are placed on basically just big rocks. Looks like some kind of ritual sacrifice. Hard to say. You're not really thinking about it. It's just like, time to go. You get outside of the scene of chaos and destruction. It's around that time that the sounds of combat behind you cease, and you hear that familiar just, where did it go? Find her! And they all, like, it's not long before these guys just kind of fall in running after you.
I suppose I'm just going to keep running, try to find some light of some sort of settlement somewhere and get out of here.
Okay. So you take off. It's rough going for you because the Shudderwood is like there's no real other than like a game trail. There's not a whole heck of a lot of roads, especially wherever it is you guys were taken. It's not long before the pack of werewolves surrounds you and wraps around in like Fight Club style circle. The big one still carrying his bastard sword and shield, now drenched in the blood of his former friends, steps up, makes a big show of like how brawny he is, and doesn't really say anything verbally so much as like series of barks and growls and things to like rile up the pack, and then he turns and points his sword at you.
Uh-huh. I suppose I'll have that bit of silver ready. I don't think there's really a whole lot I can do with it, but at least I got it.
That's fair. So you two end up with this little, like, tiny, basically just like an improvised dagger, I suppose mechanically, in this gigantic, some kind of unholy something or other. Do you have any ranks in knowledge religion? Would you consider yourself a particularly pious individual?
Not pious, it's more shamanistic, nature spirits, no one particular deity type thing.
Okay, that makes sense. In that case, you don't recognize the rune on his shield. It's... Oh... It's hard to describe, because all the Demon Lord runes look real, like, just kind of scribbly. And that's basically, like, there's clearly something at the top that would seem to indicate a full moon, and then the rest is just, like, claw marks running down his shield. Yeah, that works. You two run at each other. He brings up his bastard sword as you go to lunge in with this busted bit of star knife. Then...
I guess, what is it called? Why can I not remember the name of that spell?
What's it do?
Very first level. It's not Keen Edge. It's something sort of like that, though.
True Strike?
True Strike. Yep.
Okay, fair enough. So then...
Make sure I at least hit him.
Indeed. So you run up and he swings his sword down and it connects with you as your blade connects with him as well. He howls out. And then it's around this time that you see off to your left several... You have to blink a couple times. As you do so, they kind of turn like bluish and translucent as if, they weren't actually there.
Mm-hmm.
But the werewolves seem to believe that these, like, probably about 50 humanoids with torches and pitchforks have all shown up, yelling and screaming and cursing at them, and they disperse. That's the sword of the head werewolf swings over your head as this happens, and he turns to look as if once again you've got incredibly lucky. However, you're pretty sure he'll bear that scar. Swinging in at him. Oh, where do you cut him? You cut him like where neck starts to become chest. He's wearing a breastplate, so a lot of it would just like ting off, and then you like swing up. It definitely hurts him. Then everybody breaks off. The Shudderwood gets eerily quiet.
Well, curiosity killed the cat. I'm gonna go investigate the blue people.
Okay, the blue people have like run off as the werewolves go to chase after them. They disappear into the forest. With the weird shimmery thing that you saw, it's pretty clear they were illusions.
I suppose I will wait a little bit to make sure the werewolves are totally out of earshot.
Okay.
And then I'll call out with a thank you.
Okay. No one responds. Rather, stepping out, and I'm going to complain about it again. The Carrion Crown PDF that I have, the bookmarks don't work. And that's really unfortunate when you need an NPC's name and then have to scroll back up to, I think, there. Stepping out from behind a tree is a human woman. She's dressed in the same attire as all of the other werewolves in humanoid form you saw, but she doesn't dive out at you. She approaches you, looks you up and down. I've never seen a werecat before. She leans in. What are you?
Well, let's just say I'm not from around here.
I see.
My people live far south of here. I mean far.
I see. I don't get out of the Shudderwood much. When there's several werewolf packs out here you are supposed to be in charge of. Well, let's just say it's a busy job.
You see a bit of surprise coming across Esiri's face. Why did you protect me?
Because we aren't all slavering packs of demon worshippers. It's unfortunate, really. Demon wolves, they're a new group here. It's not hard for us to keep to ourselves. Once a month when the moon is full, we go about our business. We hurt no one. Yet, they appear and our reputation is sullied. I'm sorry about your friends.
Esiri is still kind of half expecting to be jumped, but thank you. I appreciate it. I was supposed to be guarding them. Apparently it didn't work out that way.
Well, Desna, she has us walk strange roads, doesn't she? At this point, her eyes hang on the bite on your neck, where not a full clamp down, but there's a sizable scratch, or I guess rather like a gouge where the fangs ran. Oh my. You've been bitten, haven't you?
Yes.
Let me. And she moves in and she says something in a language you don't recognize. Holds out her hand and the wound begins to pulse. Well,
what are you doing?
I need to know if you've been infected. It's strange. No, I want to say. It looks like he didn't bite down hard enough. Not enough saliva into the wound, you understand. Strange, I've never seen this before.
Seen what?
Well, you're carrying the curse of lycanthropy. But not in the sense of, like, most of she waves in the direction of the individuals that ran off. Most of the demon wolves, not slave to it. But not like myself either, not born of loving parents who simply enjoy the hunt once a month. I don't understand. You should be fine in any case. Perhaps you'll start liking your meat a little more rare. She smiles. As she does so, you can see, like, even in her human form, her teeth are, like, unnaturally sharp, as if she had filed them down.
And what about those around me?
Well,
Am I a danger to them?
I would say no. I wouldn't necessarily go risking it again. My dear, you got really lucky.
I've heard that a lot.
Oh?
It's complicated, but I can kind of manipulate luck in my favor in some ways.
I see. Well, that's fortunate for you. I should shudder to think what might happen had you got unlucky. As she's speaking, the clouds uncover what moonlight there is, and it falls on your fur, and you look down, and it kind of glimmers in the night, almost as if, like, your fur, instead of being just black fur, was onyx, or like some kind of metallic something or other. Well, it seems that your curse is progressing faster. Well, when you give yourself over to a demon lord, I imagine you become a little better at transferring our gift. As she's saying this, Lulu, who I imagine is, like, in your arms. Well, no, you were going to do a fight. She is... Well, you had one hand on Pokey Stick. Lulu, in your other hand, she, like, in pain, you realize you kind of, like, flex a little bit, and it puts her in an uncomfortable position, and bites down on your arm. It fails to penetrate your fur, and you barely feel more than, like, a pinch.
Well, I'll at least relax my arm so that she has some space, but that's very interesting.
Yeah, definitely, because, like, she was right there. She's, like, that little bit of skin between bicep and forearm. Not to, like, I guess you can't see me flexing into the camera because my pop filter is there. Let me move it down so I can be real cool on TV. Not to, like, flex on the camera, but, like, right there where, like, she certainly would have drawn blood.
Oh,
You're not from here, are you? Where, is there somewhere you'd like to go? The Shudderwood is not safe, even when the moon is not full, my dear, and I'm afraid when the demon wolves realize that my illusions are not as they appear, well, it's not safe to be here.
for now I call Ravengrow my home.
I see. Well, I think I know where that is. Little middle of nowhere farming community, not too terribly far away from here. She looks up at, like, what little stars she can see to get a bead, and then points in the direction of, like, truthfully the direction of Ravengrow, as if you were looking at a compass. That way.
Yes. Now that I've got a little bit of a bearing as to where I am, I suppose I should head home.
You should. She extends a hand. I can get you there much safer and much faster.
There is a brief moment of hesitation, but she has been good so far, so I accept. I reach my hand out and grab her hand.
She takes it and she begins incanting as by this point you recognize what teleport looks like. It's like 3 in the morning when you guys whoop back to Ravengrow. Nobody's awake and no one sees you appear. Basically just like on the outskirts of town. She lets go. I'm sorry that happened to you, my friend. Should you ever be in my part of the world again, my name is Kavalka Sane.
Kavalka's sane?
Yes. I am Pack Lord of the Shudderwood. I cannot speak for those who worship demon lords, but I can speak for the rest of the pack. The tribes that live within, those who hunt and feast. If you need passage through the Shudderwood again, I will see to it. You have better guards this time.
Thank you.
Well,
all right, and how do you spell that?
I will put it in... I will not put it in Discord. I closed Discord. I can hear you slapping papers around. It's KvalcaSain. She teleports away. You head home. You open up the door to the professor's house. And kind of just like, without waiting for much of anything, you floop down onto the couch and pass out. The morning comes. Kendra is dressed in all black as she like comes down the stairs and wakes you up. She's obviously been crying.
What's the matter? What happened?
Dad came back while you were gone, and then there was an accident. I guess his luck ran out. He's dead.
I am so sorry. I can't believe it.
I can't either.
How...
Yes?
How long was I gone?
Long enough. Dad came back, kept to himself. Was gone long nights. They found his body. Apparently it was some accident at Harrowstone. In any case, you've arrived, how lucky for you, just in time for his funeral. And as she says this, there's a knock at the door. There are 4 individuals you can see standing in kind of like a awkward diamond shape outside the door. Lulu sees this as well, and her wing is still pretty beat up. But one of the individuals up front, he looks to be human, like, yet you notice as his shadow, like as the sun hits him, his shadow moves around in strange patterns. Lulu looks in his direction and just faintly just like as if she were to recognize him. He is flanked by a couple of humanoid men, both of them wearing hoods to cover their face, with One of them has a bastard sword slung over his back. The other one has his arms crossed, and his one of his hands is closed pretty tight with his other hand, like, over top of it. Behind them, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, beautiful, perfect example of the classic Aasimar, wearing Sarenrae's holy regalia, stands behind them. Kendra moves to open the door, and that's where we're going to end this prologue. I will, as always, thank you guys for hanging out, and thanks to Emmy for shaking the dust off with us. Mechanically speaking, Esiri, in return for a backstory, has been infected with lycanthropy. She's not in danger of becoming a werewolf because she got really, really lucky. However, there will still be some effects. The first of which is DR1 over silver. In addition, tomorrow, or today, because this video literally goes live on Emmy's birthday. Turns out, greatest of all days. And everybody who shows up at my channel always gets something sweet for their birthday because there's a bunch of people on planet Earth. And I think the people you're going to associate with should probably be pretty cool if you're going to associate with them. So, we will finagle it as a spell-like ability you've always had. Let me get the exact wording. It's like what a kitsune has. But I want to get the shape, or the shape. I want to get the thing right. I think it's called Fox Shape. I'm going to go get a tab in Firefox, is what I'm going to do. In a mechanical sense.
You mean where they get the, where they get to be like a little fox?
Yes, you got it. I just don't remember exactly what that's called, but you have that feat, except you turn into a tiny black cat. And I wanted to grab the actual name of the feat before I start vomiting it all over the place, all over my channel. So I'll do some scrolling, and it's called Fox Shape is the feat. And you take the form of a cat whose appearance is a black cat and cannot be changed each time you assume this form. Your bite attack, you have a 1d3 bite attack, a +10 racial bonus on disguise checks. It's a standard action functioning as Beast Shape 2. You can do it, we'll say, once a day for now. And that's where we're going to call it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back at it next week with our final 2. Then I'm going to kill everybody in Carrion crap, but we're not worried about that right now. We'll see you around. Say bye, Emmy.
Bye.